My guest today on It's a Lawyer's Life is Andrew Pack, aka Suspicious Law, a very popular blog. He is also a local authority lawyer, legal blogger, and now an author. The author of a new book called Insecure. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome. Hello. Nice to be on board.
And Andrew, I've known you a long time, and most of our interactions seem to be you teaching me about the law and me sending you selfies from the Star Wars premiere. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, basically I handled the law side of the relationship and you handled the glamour and making me wish I was in Cannes side of the relationship.
But you are also a popular culture geek.
Yes, that would be fair to say, particularly 80s.
And now you are, as I've said, an author. Your new book, Insecure, has just been released. Tell us about it.
Okay, so it's a book designed for young adults, but suitable for all ages. I probably wouldn't let a 10-year-old read it because there are some scary bits in it. So it's an adventure story, it's got magic, it's got excitement, it's set in a prison effectively for young people. All the people in the prison are children with very troubled and difficult backgrounds and a variety of problems. One of the children in the prison has got a magic spell book and it works. So they are the worst people in the world that you would give magical powers to, but they have them. What on earth are they going to do with them?
And is it actually a prison or is it secure accommodation?
It's secure accommodation. I was trying to make it a bit more explainable to people who aren't in the job. So yeah, it's a secure accommodation unit. Secure accommodation, for those who don't know, is a prison effectively. It's a place where you can lock children up and deprive them of their liberty and control their movements, and they can be in rooms that have locked doors and you can control whether they have access to phones or the internet. And it's for children who have not done anything criminally wrong, so they've not been put on trial for committing an offence, but they are in some way dangerous to themselves or to other people around them, or they just run away from any other homes that you put them in.
Now, it's a controversial area, secure accommodation. What interested you about the concept of having this group of children together in that kind of confined environment?
Well, basically, I've always loved prison movies. From pretty much the first time I ever saw Great Escape, that was like what I wanted to do with my life, was be put in prison and escape from them. I'm not prepared to go to prison until I've actually ironed out the escape element, which is why I'm a lawyer instead of being a convict. But that sort of people being close together, trapped in proximity. I once read that pretty much all great sitcoms are people trapped in a situation. So Basil Fawlty is trapped in that hotel with Sybil, and she's trapped there with him. Steptoe and Son, he wants to be free, he wants to live his life, he wants to explore the arts, but he's stuck in this relationship with his grotesque father. That's basically the heart of all sitcoms, and in a way it's the heart of most young adult writing. Is here are a bunch of people who are in a situation, they're stuck together and they need to work together to see how they can overcome those obstacles. And it seemed to me that actually a secure accommodation centre was going to be a good jumping off point for that sort of story. And also the children who are in them have just got such interesting stories and they're such diverse and varied characters.
And you've brought magic into the scenario.
Yes. So.
And what was the thinking behind that?
Basically, the sort of writing that I do tends towards, I don't want to say magical realism because that sort of conjures up South America and that sort of thing, but it's realism but with magic in it. So I try to write real world stuff, but then I put magic in it to make it more exciting and glamorous and unpredictable, and the story can then take very different turns.
Now, you've actually done other writing, and particularly on your blog, Suspicious Minds. First of all, why that title?
Basically, it's a combination of two things. Suspicious Minds, the Elvis song, which if you ever get me drunk enough, I will do a Fine Young Cannibals impersonation of. Okay. I can't do a good Elvis, but I can do a good Fine Young Cannibals. And secondly, one of my early loves in life, Dr. Seuss. And I have spelt the Dr. Seuss bit wrong, which is why everyone, when they meet me, go, "I thought you were a woman called Sue."
It's hugely popular.
Bless you.
The blog is read by judges, it's read by people who are making new laws, it's read by lawyers, and it's read by the public. And I wanted to ask you, you must get a lot of feedback from your audience. What are the main concerns of each of those groups? First of all, the lawyers.
Okay, so the lawyers are, it's mainly, my God, there is just so much law. We seem to have been, over the last 5 years, living at a point in time of family law where it's just changing astronomically quickly. And how are we supposed to read all this stuff? How are we supposed to keep up to date? How are we supposed to know what's going on? I think the first 12 years I was doing law, you could blag it in court with knowing 2 cases. You had to know H&R, and you had to know Re-G, interim care order as a deep freeze, affording no advantage to one side or the other. And if you knew those 2 cases, pretty much you'd be fine. And then we just suddenly got into this accelerated period where the tests for everything changed, and they could change overnight. You could be going into court, having on day 2 of a final hearing, and suddenly the basis on which you're cross-examining people is changing because the law's changed. I read stuff really, really quickly. Always been a voracious reader, and my big thing in life is to take something very long and complicated and make it very short and simple, and ideally put some jokes in it.
And very accessible as well, and that's why you have members of the public reading your blog as well.
Yeah.
So what are the concerns for them?
The concerns from members of the public really are that the system is unfair, the system is broken, that people within the system distort things, they tell lies, that there's no fairness. And part of the dialogue that I have with people is that there are certainly examples of unfairness. There are very bad social workers around, there are very bad lawyers, there are very bad barristers, there are very bad judges occasionally. But just as we don't judge the whole of the NHS by what Harold Shipman was like, you have to be careful that you don't judge the whole of family law by the worst examples of it. And actually, family law is, I think, not bad at finding where things have gone badly wrong and actually holding a candle up to it and saying, look, this was a terrible mistake that's been made in this case, and we must tell people about it and we must learn lessons from it. So I don't think that the people who are shouting about the system are wrong to shout about it. I think there is an awful lot that we could do better and that we could do more fairly.
You also provide commentary on the law, and you try and bring social aspects into it. What worries you as a lawyer about the law at present, particularly family law?
My main worry really is the removal of public funding for parents, particularly in adoption cases. So I've just finished an adoption hearing today at which the Guardian and the local authority were both represented, and those are people, the clients in those cases are people that are educated, professional, been to university, they've got lawyers. The parents, who don't have those advantages and for whom the stakes are so much higher, didn't have lawyers. They have to speak on their own behalf. When the issue at stake for them is your child going to be permanently placed with strangers and you will never see them again? And I think that they ought to have legal representation for that. I think it's a disgrace that they don't.
That's a huge topic, isn't it? And a very controversial one at present.
Yes.
But there must be aspects of law that inspire you.
Yeah, I think law is one of those places where you see people at their very best and you see people at their very worst. And one of the most amazing things with law is no matter how long you've been doing the job, you can't really predict at the start of a case which way people are going to go. People that you think are never going to sort their problems out and are got no chance at all of turning their lives around. Sometimes they surprise you and they do, and that's just amazing. And sometimes people that you would bet your mortgage on this is going to be all right, they're going to do something unexpected and chaotic and destructive when you least expected it. And that's, if you're doing family law, the day that you cease to be surprised by people is when you should stop doing it.
Now, Andrew, one of your claims to fame is that you had more hits on It's a Lawyer's Life than Michael Fassbender. When you produced...
Rightly so.
Rightly so, when you answered some quickfire questions in a very funny way. So we're going to try that again. No pressure. Which fictional lawyer would you instruct and why?
I'm going to say Lionel Hutz, attorney at law from The Simpsons, because he is my absolute favourite. He's completely clueless, but he's very well-meaning.
If a genie gave you 3 magic wishes, bearing in mind your book has magic in it, what would those 3 wishes be?
Should we just assume that I say like world peace and end poverty and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Wrapped up in one wish. Obviously, I would like to have the bone structure and career of Cillian Murphy, who is a godlike human being.
And you've seen him in the flesh, haven't you?
I have seen him in the flesh, and he was magnificent, and he's a great actor. I loved him in everything he's ever been in.
Do you love Peaky Blinders?
I do love Peaky Blinders.
Good man. Who is your legal hero or heroine?
Oh, God, that's a tricky one. I think I would have to say Sir Nicholas Wall. When he was the president, I appeared before him, not saying anything, scurrying at the back with a blue notebook, writing furiously on cases where there would be, 15, 20 lever arch files, and people would be on their feet and saying, I know that Dr. Patterson, made up name, said something about tuberculosis on, I think it was the 4th of February, and he would just go, bundle 4, section J, page 22, I think it's about halfway down, and he would be right every time, and that is just awe-inspiring. And he was a really, really nice tribunal to be in front of, and he'll be sadly missed.
And your hero generally, or heroine? Apart from Cillian Murphy?
Apart from Cillian Murphy. John Steinbeck.
For obvious reasons?
Yeah, for the writing and the humanity and heart that he puts into his writing, and that his writing is all about connecting with real people. He doesn't write stories about dukes and duchesses and politicians and people who are changing the world. He writes about people who are struggling and trying to find small successes, and I love that.
And what would be Andrew Pack's perfect day? What would it include?
It would include a fair amount of Keira Knightley, I would assume. I may get in trouble for that. I would like to spend the day with friends and with books, and possibly with champagne.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. You've been an absolutely fabulous guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.